The last episode of the Jimquisition seemed to upset a few people. There was especially some pushback on NeoGAF, people who said that the video was hyperbolic. Yeah, welcome to the Jimquisition. Some people said that I was generalising, unfairly generalising video game executives. And you know what? I would be sorry for that. In fact, I am. I'm sorry for generalising video game executives. The plus side is, none of them have any feelings whatsoever, so it's perfectly okay. Their feelings aren't hurt. They don't exist. Thirdly, there were some people who thought that, just in general, I didn't know what I was talking about. That I was chatting shit about something of which I have no knowledge and just posing to impress teenagers. And some of that may be true, but at the same time I had people in the game industry slyly giving me fist bumps for saying something that they felt needed to be said. So I think I'm gonna chalk that up as a win. Anyway, this time around we're doing an extra Jimquisition this week because I felt like I should balance out that kind of outrage with something that people can really get on board with. So I'm going to be critical of Overwatch. Now everyone knows Blizzard's fans love criticism. They love hearing their game be criticised in some way. They like hearing what's wrong with the game and what could be improved. All of that I just said was sarcasm. It should come as no surprise to any regular viewer of my work that I love Overwatch. Blizzard's colourful, charismatic online shooter has thoroughly enthralled me, and I've not regretted the hours upon hours upon hours that I've sunk into the game. I stand by the glowing 9 out of 10 review I gave it, and I think it absolutely could be an easy shoe-in for Game of the Year awards when the season for such things rolls around. However, just like with Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare 2, Overwatch is a game I will personally not be considering for any Game of the Year nods because it's a premium priced retail game with microtransactions, host to what I've labelled for many years a fee-to-pay economy. Now, nobody had a problem with this disqualification policy when it was EA and Warner Brothers games getting affected, but this is Overwatch, son, and you better believe some people are furious at me for my consistent enforcement of the rules. Sorry, but the fact of the matter is, I think Overwatch's microtransactions suck, even beyond any silly Game of the Year awards I may or may not give out. It's 2 steps shy of a gambling program that utilises the many manipulative tricks of the most shameless freemium games on the market, and Blizzard actively hobbled its own reward system in order to prop up a shameless appeal for extra cash. So let's break down Overwatch's whole economy. The game has a leveling system, but gaining experience and ranking up doesn't actually strengthen characters or improve your gameplay abilities. Instead, every new level unlocks a loot box. Loot boxes can contain new costumes for characters, new voice lines, new animations, or spray tags that you can plaster on a wall in-game. You can also earn coins which can be saved up to purchase any of the other unlocks separately. Loot boxes are completely random. You could get some rare legendary skin for your favourite character, or you could get a worthless spray for some hero you never even use. Of course, Blizzard has you covered if you want to stump up some real life dollars and purchase more loot boxes. It's all still random, but the more you buy, the more potential chances you have to unlock something you care about, and the more chances for in-game currency you can get to directly purchase what you want. It takes a considerable amount of time to level up, especially once you get past level 20, and with only one box unlocked each time, it can feel like an absolute grind, especially if there's something cool you want to get, and the mixed pool of skins, animations, voices and sprays makes the chances of naturally stumbling onto it incredibly unlikely. Even worse, loot boxes can also contain duplicates, which means all those shitty sprays you unlocked could turn up again and again. It's not like you're clearing the board and getting rid of them. Duplicates will be replaced with a piddling amount of in-game currency, but it's hardly a substitute. Now, from my standpoint, it's clear how the loot box system has been designed. It follows a very tried and tested free-to-play model. It religiously sticks to that blueprint. The randomization, the overwhelming number of bullshit sprays, the duplicates, the long time between unlocks, it's all designed to test a player's patience, to try and frustrate them into reaching for their wallet. In a genuine free-to-play game, that psychological pummeling is your entry fee. You're playing for free, and in exchange you deal with a game trying to seduce you or batter you into submission. As I've maintained in the past, games that charge up front have already had their entry fee. To then go on to the battery and seduction costs, that's something I find highly disappointing. Now, I won't outright pillory a game for it, as evidenced by my critical acclaim for Garden Warfare 2 and Overwatch. Critical acclaim I still stand by. However, I will consider it a shame, and I won't just ignore it. If that makes me an extremist, so be it, but I'm not going to just sweep things under the carpet, and I'm not going to give a game special treatment even if I love it. Now, I know what the main retort to this is, because people have been yelling it to me for weeks. The unlocks are just cosmetic. They don't affect gameplay. Therefore, it's okay. I disagree. Unlockable content is part of a game. You can't just separate that from the overall package, it's built into it. This is especially true in Overwatch, where cosmetic unlocks, well, they're the sole purpose of leveling up. All the XP you gain in every match, every medal you earn for performance, all of it contributes to the game's one and only long-term perpetual goal, getting more loot boxes. You can claim it doesn't affect gameplay, and on a detached, mechanical, technical level, sure it doesn't. On the psychological level, the meta level, and the community level, however, it absolutely does. Let's not be disingenuous and pretend cosmetics aren't part of a game experience. If cosmetics didn't matter, people wouldn't praise the customization options in RPGs, the fashion statements that can be made in Dark Souls. Hell, that's one of my favourite parts of Dark Souls, and they wouldn't care about costume DLC in the first place, but they do care. Hell, some of them buy it in droves, because everyone likes to look cool, or unique, or weird. Cosmetics don't make you better at the game, but they make you stand out more. They shake up your visual experience. They do have an effect. If I refused to talk about customization options or unlockables when I reviewed games, people would consider that a glaring omission, because as much as folks are saying otherwise right now, cosmetics and personalization are no less a part of the game than any other feature. To say it's just cosmetic comes off to me like an excuse, and I don't find it a particularly compelling one. And thus we get into the haves and have-nots economy. I've talked about this in past videos, where players get to see other player characters looking cool and unique and weird, and they start to feel left out, thus tempting them to buy more loot boxes. Now you may be watching this and thinking, well, you don't care about it doesn't affect you, and that's cool, but you're not everybody else, and there are plenty who do care. I, for one, love cosmetics in video games. It's part of the thrill of the game for me. I love alternate costumes and unlocking new gear, even if it's just aesthetic. So this haves and have-nots psychological manipulation is most definitely tailored towards me and others like me. So yeah, regardless of how you may feel, the loot boxes are theoretically compelling to me, and the chance to unlock new customization options is something I care about a great deal in any game. With that in mind, hopefully you can understand why I think Overwatch's unrewarding reward system is so consistently frustrating. While some may have gotten lucky with their unlocks, it took me until level 20 to get a single legendary skin, and I've not had a single one since. In fact, the majority of boxes I've opened so far have just been home to nothing but sprays and voice lines, to the point where I've just started outright calling them spray boxes. The reliance on chance and the sheer volume of unwanted crap littering the item pool has led to me no longer being excited by loot boxes. Instead, I brace for disappointment every time I open one, rather than approach them with excitement. And since we're talking about a game's entire reward system here, that kinda fucking sucks. You know, as much as Garden Warfare 2 humps microtransactions, as much as we all bag on EA, and it's fun to bag on EA, at least PopCap kept that game consistently rewarding with an abundance of in-game currency and loot packages with guaranteed drops in them. By contrast, Overwatch's reward system feels more like a kick in my dick for not spending money to increase the gambling odds. It wouldn't be so bad if boxes contained at least a minimum amount of in-game currency each time, or you earned that currency after every match, but no, of course not. Even that's completely random and it feels stingy as balls. But, Overwatch's defenders declare, don't you see, Jim? Overwatch is getting free updates with new maps and characters. Surely that's worth the microtransactions. Well, no, not really. Even ignoring the truth that games like Splatoon have been able to offer free updates without freemium economies, and even ignoring the fact that with one of the most successful launches of all time under its belt, Blizzard can easily afford to provide free updates, I simply don't think the future content model is worth the sabotaging of Overwatch's entire XP leveling and loot setup. This may be controversial to say, but I'd frankly rather have paid DLC and a reward system that's actually rewarding than the fucked spray paint casino we currently have. People claim Blizzard needs the microtransactions to fund the updates. Now, even if that were true, and let's pretend it is, I'll walk with you to that pier, Blizzard didn't have to be such a complete dick about its loot boxes. It didn't need to fill its loot selection with sprays. It didn't have to make in-game currency just another random drop. It didn't have to create some of the least encouraging reward scenarios I've ever seen. No, it did all that because it wanted to, not because it needed to. Now, I respect if you have no problem with the loot and the microtransactions. Hell, I respect if you actually go out and buy the microtransactions. You're the customer. You do you. It's not my place to tell you how to spend your money, unless you're thinking of buying Colonial Marines. And I need to emphasize again how much I love Overwatch. It's easy to conflate criticism of a game with outright hatred of a game, and Overwatch fans have proven especially touchy whenever I say a single negative thing about it. I can't express enough how my admonishment comes from a place of pure love. If I didn't enjoy Overwatch so much, I wouldn't care so much about the things I want to see improved. I've been taking a battering for my refusal to change my mind on microtransactions for Overwatch's benefit, so I don't expect what I've said here to be particularly popular. However, I feel I've done all I can to respectfully and clearly point out why, for a player such as myself, Overwatch's loot boxes and associated fee-to-pay elements are a tangible disappointment. If you're one of the game's ardent defenders, I can only hope I've at least done enough for you to see and respect where I'm coming from. Or you can just keep being angry that I don't think the game's perfect, it's up to you. Now on to the next topic, why Torbjorn is a shit dumpster character played by bad garbage babies. For a good counterpoint, I'd recommend watching Total Biscuit's video. It's a 40-minute long video discussing why he feels the microtransactions and the cosmetics are pro-consumer and a good thing, and not something to be sneered at. And it's a very good video, actually, very well reasoned, very well argued. I couldn't help but see it because as soon as some people watched it, they sought me out. They rushed to some of my social media areas to send me links to the video telling me that Total Biscuit just wrecked me, which both of us found a bit stupid. It was a good, respectful, well-argued rebuttal to some of the stuff I've said in say, my review of Overwatch. And that's fine. I like it. I feel what he did was contextualise the other side of the argument in a way that a lot of the screaming anons haven't for me, where those people are just yelling at me, whereas that laid out. If you look at the game from a technical, mechanical standpoint, as Total Biscuit does, then yeah, you don't see a direct impact on the interface or any of the actual tangible gameplay elements. As he says in the video, I look at things a bit more idealistically, a bit more philosophically, and I am not ashamed of that. I'm actually pleased. I'm glad that I look at games that way. It's two very different ways of looking at things. So now I understand why those who look at the game from a pure technical, mechanical standpoint, does this work? Does this negatively impact this? I understand why they may be a bit confused, a bit puzzled as to why someone like me finds it a bad thing, a critical point. I don't expect I'm going to change any minds with this video, but hopefully I've contextualised and made some of the people on that side of the debate understand what the issue is. Because there should be a discussion, a debate. There shouldn't be people yelling wrecked at each other. Really, ultimately, what this is about thanking God for me. So thank God for me.